Today's video, I'll be studying from the Boogeyman. This is a part of my continued studies, book 2 of 6. I picked out 2 studies from this book where I will show you my thought process on how I recreate in my own way original art. And hopefully, with each study that I do, I learn something new in order to use in my next project. So, if you're interested, stick around. So, with all studies, I always start with a pencil, my rough thumbnail, basically a pencil. I shrink everything down and I just get the basic shapes into the drawing. I put the beach bubbles, whatever sort of title cards that might be there, I put those in place, and then I just get those large shapes down. I really struggled to actually understand the angle of this. I will say that DJ, the way he positioned the man who's kind of sitting on a small stool, or maybe he's just like squatting, I'm not really sure, but the way he fit him into that position, it worked really well for him, but I could not make it work for me, and it felt very cramped, so maybe I just needed more space. Once I started inking this, I started with the characters in the foreground, the little boy, then the man, then the woman, and then I started working on the dog bear figure in the background, and trying to figure out the understanding of his line work. It just seemed like chaos to me. I was trying to understand the shading, trying to understand like why he put certain lines where he did, but it really just didn't make sense to me. So yes, I got like a really scratchy effect, but not really sure it came out the way I wanted it to come out. And then working on the dog bear itself, that part was hard to understand because I was trying to understand the body language, and the colors on it were so dark that I could barely see the line work. So a lot of it is me guessing at what is there and then just trying to make sense of it all, and I kind of went away from what I learned with ArtWad, which is grouping those bands of hair, strands of hair, into like big clumps, and I started just kind of like scratching away at it line by line using the smallest pen that I had. And then to do the energy lines along the outside of the page, that was another challenge because there wasn't really a real method to it. I kind of grouped them in triangles because that's how it looks to me. Yeah, I mean, I did a thing, it's done, but I'm not really sure how I feel about the piece. At least I can say that I did something, and I can also say that maybe a chaotic energy style is not for me. And sometimes when you're inking or you're learning how to ink, you're going to come across things that look visually appealing to you, but for you to try and recreate it or to try and incorporate it into your own style, it might not be for you. Just keep that in mind. I just finished the ink study for the Boogeyman, that very first one, and it was more difficult than I thought it was. I will say that in recreating this, even though I'm not really happy with the result, and I don't think I came away with any real understanding of DJ's inking style, it was still worth it to do the study. His style is a little bit more chaotic than I thought. I really couldn't make sense of the lines. It was a real struggle for me. But overall, I did it, it's done, and either I take something away from it or I didn't. So I guess I'm just gonna go on to the next one. Alright, so I just finished the second study, and what can I say? I expected so much from studying from this artist, but in the end, it really just didn't connect with me. What I want my style to be, I thought was this, but it seems like DJet's artistic style is very dependent upon color to enhance it. So as I'm trying to understand how to ink better and have very clear shadows, very defined shapes, I don't think this artist was the best artist to study from. But sadly, sometimes you don't know that until after you actually do the study. So I'm glad I did it, but I think maybe revisiting these two studies when it's actually time to do some color practice, that might benefit me a little bit more. So the biggest takeaways I can take from these two studies is it's not for me. That's just what it is. I enjoy looking at his artwork. I enjoyed reading the story, the pages, the way he conveys what's happening. I think he does that very well, but I'm really not sure at this point where these studies fit into my overall growth as a comic artist. But like I said, sometimes things will be a great success, and then other times it's just not for you, and I wouldn't have known that unless I did the study. So hopefully your studies are going well. Let me know if you've ever done a study and it didn't work out the way you planned, and how did you pivot? What did you do next? In my next study, I'll be going over Death Note, and hopefully I can get some takeaways from that. See you next time.